Hello, Connecticut families, parents, and students. There are some of the family members who are intelligence families, like with New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Courts, Connecticut's District Court. They have their kids involved with them with predicate acts with the principal child abusers, campus and other campuses further. Through time, names at Whiting Forensics have been involved with that same campus as Intercity. Whiting Forensics is in West Middletown. A bunch of people with Wethersfield connections to Middletown have roles with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and state police interstates, who are people who have roles with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. Then they pretend it's legitimate when you try to do it, and then they want to debate the statutes, but they're putting the evidence is how they've been putting me and others to fake conversations, including changing what's recorded over the phones with police and faking conversations with them. There are some police named Mendez and Demain who are further involved with falsified police reports, fake conversations with little kids, with themselves as adults, on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off the Wethersfield Police Station, and with names on all sides of the campuses, involved with identity thefts and frauds with the intelligence community. It's not. This is also answer a whole bunch of answers to why and to how tellings of American history stayed so fake and tactically delusions wrought. Because science and honesty has not spoken for the suburbs, let alone for Hartford, Connecticut, let alone for New York City, let alone for exceptions and exception nature, which nature shows us is one of the reasons it wants us to discern the value scientifically of discernment of a criminal enterprise, but tactical ulterior from how our interbranch families and intelligence families, interstates too, and they are shared with a whole bunch of different countries. A whole bunch of people from different countries are involved with a hot dog place next to Central Connecticut State University with child abuses and roles with murders and random shootings with people that work and associate with the policing there. Through time, their roles with people with the name O'Brien, Violet, Casper, a former Mayor Gold, others tied to a former Mayor Gold and a Debbie Gold. Identity thefts and fraud, something to do with their roles with the buildings next to the state capitol. There's a Nick LaPierre, I don't know his family members' names. I never had a conversation. They try to make fake exceptions near a Brian Bonin's house. He's also involved all along Route 3 with them, planting evidences. Identity theft frauds intercities through time has something to do with Glastonbury intelligence, families associated with Central Connecticut State University, teachers, professors in intelligence, families associated with one with the name Mike Pandolf. Mike Pandolf has roles with a Joshua Stryker and Joshua Stryker too, but also with Joshua Julian, a Joshua or not, and a Joshua. Mark Violet confessed to Joshua Julian involved. Mark Violet is also one of the ones on Harvard Hospital and Wethersfield Police Station and the home of Joshua Stryker. Joshua Schumack. Joshua Schumack and his mother is on the Facebook page of the Wethersfield Police Department, involved with child offenders, leaders of the kids around with a police chief Cintron. And 1 year ago, he has a daughter reportedly named Jessica Cintron, involved with people in the Mazzucato family. They have spots in West Hartford and New Britain, and roles with the shopping centers, intercities, and like with those woods. And with the narratives and natures associated with the skate parks that open up everywhere. These are people that run the prisons, like Sandy Hook has roles with child offenders before they were caught, and further with Sandy Hook campus's names. That's also involved with intercities, with the principal child offender. More people on Twitter after the sale have roles also with uses of the transition, as their roles with upskirt pictures, with people with the name Ian involved. has something to do with their roles with the parks at the parks next to UPS and Iolo's Kitchen in Hartford, Connecticut. Those are people involved intercities on off campus. I never had a class with Joe Aiello. He has roles with mayors and foreign and domestic medical families and overt criminal enterprises and people on my street involved with this Mayor Gold with various natures of organized crimes with kids and pretending to be against stuff they have roles with and worse on Facebook. They've been using Facebook where they change evidences with their roles with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants and their family members. These are also people all along Church Street in Old Wethersfield involved with this, involved with the names next to the campuses. So Joe Aiello has roles with names and campuses in Wethersfield and Hartford, who have roles with predicate acts, identity theft, fraud, slanders, federal evidences, crimes, with judges and prosecutors, slanders. They apparently told lies to me. And they might not even know it. There's a Johnny Duke of boxing on Zion Street next to Trinity College. A whole bunch of people with ties to the spots on Zion Street next to Trinity College have timed roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. And their timed collusions as the names on off the World Trade Center attack who were planting evidences with the ones involved there, like Scalora. DeMauro said the Scaloras were involved with them. He's one of the ones recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved roles with falsified police reports with the police forms through time and with people from other countries, wire crime, home break-ins roles, and with the names on Church Street in Old Wethersfield. Sexual circles involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders. The interbranch Connecticut men, when they were kids, they were lying about themselves to others, and they were lying about others to others. A whole bunch of people tied to a Brian Silver involved with prosecutors and judges through time who are involved with a whole bunch of different natures of organized crime, child abuses, elderly abuses. These are names with positions at the elderly homes and next to them. And with the veterans locations and next to them. These are names also on off the state corrections offices, which is on the town line of Wethersfield and Hartford. No. These are people involved with intelligence uses of maps to keep live progressions, fake motives too. They never had, in other words. Everyone's always blaming things. Oh, it's this one, it's this one. Follow mandated law, and all would have been healed. You guys are leaking things all this time. I've been begging you online. You can't call the police because they use wire crime action methods with the other police forms and federal agencies and their defended capacities coming further. They want to deny that. They're going to have to get on paper, and they're going to get smashed on paper. Smash! So, yeah, well, don't make people beg. Make sure you respond for the campuses, too. They have teachers of the campuses who have, with the news, planting evidences, wire crime acts and methods, drugs and medicines crimes with the Leahy family, attaching little kids and their families to fake conversations with themselves and about organized crime cases. They have a Brian Silver involved with Connecticut District Court, Hartford courts, and the Britain Superior Court. They were planting evidences before the World Trade Center attack. There are families and they affected confessions to me because that's what happens when you file fakes, like with a whole bunch of people tied to the name Cololo in West Hartford and New Britain locations, near where was reportedly the body dumping spot of a serial killer, and the names next to it. There's a Justin Kolvinskis sought me out to make confessions about that. Years after he made confessions to me, I didn't even know him. He's in the KKK. People with some KKK black-themed Wethersfield police and courts. There are people there are multiple families named Smith involved with courts planting evidences, tactically delusions raw. Now we have this other Smith involved with election crimes, pretending other. Election crimes are recorded. The courts and state judicial branch offices has a whole bunch of people involved with Enzo Fienza and his cousin with houses next to there and next to along Two Rut Highway and Hang Dog Lane and conjunctions to it are people involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, with a Dillon family too, involved with further child abusers and child abuses and predicate acts methods on off the kids' houses too. These are the intelligence community does sick things recorded. So if you just ask them, they pretend not to understand you. That's why it's important to understand they prevent short words to get away with that. Make sure they pick one name in sequence. They have Judge Napolitano doing this, and or he's being lied to too. So make sure they follow mandated law for Judge Napolitano. I'm telling you short. They switched names in sequence and prevented me writing since I was a kid. New Britain Court and Hartford courts and their family members having roles at crime scenes, leaving that out and then asking people questions. They're out of their minds. Now they're with this lady. They're with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical families at corners of streets. Rick C.M. Faglione also sought me out to confess, demonstrate, record, confirm roles with federal evidences, crimes, drugs and medicines crimes, wire crimes with a Cololo family, with people from Hartford Hospital named and involved with the courts named Brian Silver and Brendan Leahy. He also has a father apparently named Brendan Leahy. And there are women with their families that work at Hartford Hospital. A whole bunch of cliques that work at Hartford Hospital's Institute of Living with the mental health side of hospitals, involved with all kinds of scams of monies and keeping price. They're keeping the cities tortured, sickly distinctly from the suburbs. They're keeping the identity theft / fraud / slander method, that laws that assign black and white to mean other than they did, blamed on other things, others themselves. Now, consciously, while pretending not to realize. This is one of the applications they put the word /value racism used for, to measure and maintain, other than what forced that and rolls with it, and nature as that, to be blamed for it by the breaching method. Otherwise, it would sense through our own, because it sustained rolls with that. Then our founders were born. So they bring up the name of China. China kept saying they want to reunify with Taiwan. In other words, they have semiconductors and all that tied and they leave that out. They're playing games. They have World Trade Center cover-up roles with the people that went to Afghanistan before the World Trade Center attack, as collusions with it, interstates, as ones who forced Afghans to collusions with them on and off my high school, as people on and off Zion Street in Hartford next to Trinity College, involved with predicate acts with the former director of the FBI and the judges and their family members who affected confessions before the World Trade Center attack. Before I went to Trinity College, they were planting evidences on and off there with people on my street I caught with the principal child abuser. They've been attaching me to fake conversations with my family members since I was a kid and everyone around me. Changed ones too. That's one of the tactics they use. Now that's why it's important to get them on paper in one name and sequence. Shouldn't have to beg. Shouldn't have to beg judges. They look at them and pretend they don't understand. Oh, but look, well, here's the evidence. We don't understand you. I said 50,000 times. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. They're going to have to lie about my behavior. You have behavior racketeers that are tactically delusions raw too, though, in their defense still. In other words, because they came through 6 schools. As I caught, the differences of the schools also used fear. The differences of the breaching method roles and your roles, blaming other things, others yourselves, for such serious things like slavery, like war, let alone like slavery, because slavery causes wars. Slavery causes abridged constitution nature to pretend it's other. People caught the nature of debate, criminally foreign influence. All we have to know is that the Constitution was founded abridged, and we're supposed to get it unabridged. Right through the people pretending it's abridged. They don't read it. That's why we have to get them on paper. And when they make mistakes, because interbranch have collusion, Newtown, Sandy Hook has a prison campus, has fire campuses, it has those school leaderships further involved with retired mayors and people on off the state of Connecticut, the Board of Education building, on off Central Connecticut State University's roles with boards of education, involved with various natures of organized crime and with the names next to those locations? No. I'd fear God to hide and plot. Make sure you respond for the coward police chief Cintron and for his family members through time involved with the FBI and the CIA with identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake motivation. All along Route 175, they plant evidences to make a picture of people next to each other to pretend they know each other. That was only like a quick moment too. I don't know them. In other words, there's something to do with people with the name Carone, Kevin Carone, Jamie Carone, and Mark Carone. The people in intelligence family near me recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed they have that involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. Something to do with their roles with spots on Town Line Drive and along the Saulstein Highway. Their roles with Koreans, with people with the name. There were people involved with Newington locations. And there's a guy who was reportedly what is it called? A roommate of one of the Cololos involved, a Ray Cololo in the Newington locations. There's also Eric Jensen, who was involved in intercities with state police with them through time, with Whiting Forensics planting evidences with the Cololo Jensens and people at religious locations involved with child offenders. Also, child abuses of the leaders of the kids as involved with child abuses. They were involved with abuses of the kid of the principal being upskirt nature I caught with worse then and now. See, they're also, because they're keeping things blamed. They're forging names, switching names. They have ones with the names Power, Officer Powers. They have their roles as a retired and standing intelligence community that teach at Central Connecticut State University. A whole bunch of people at Central Connecticut State University involved with Heather Hansen. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed she involved. In other words, she involved people that Elena Davenport and people associated with her at New Britain Superior Court, with people on my street involved with judges and prosecutors, on off the state corrections offices, on off the state judicial branch offices, putting fake things in kids' databases. Then if they try to go back and make sure, look, I never had a class with Heather Hansen. They tried to make a fake exception when I was in middle school. Has something to do with their roles with Trinity College names involved with this, with the names that have been deans switching names, roles with a Joshua Stryker and a Joshua Julian, further with a principal child offender before it was proven. They were forcing it with worse. How you doing? So trying to get Judge Napolitano has a Judging Freedom YouTube channel. I asked him 50,000 times, how do I get the interbranch onto paper, one name in sequence? Since I was a kid, I've been asking. There are foreign nations involved, so I'm being very careful. You needed it on paper. They put a whole bunch of things on paper and hid why and how that was used. That's also evidence. That's why it's important to have mandated law followed. I was in the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center right before the attack. They attached me and others on both sides. I was observing that case. And they attached me and others on both sides of that, and people who are also been there just to observe, to roles with predicate acts of people on Central Connecticut State University in the Britain. That's in Manhattan, the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Center, right before the attack. There are neighbors of Dan Keene, also as the names ones with the name Fienza, and increasingly people tied to the ones named Dylan, who are involved with predicate acts on my street and telling lies about me with the Keene family. Something, they forced Saudis to collusion with them too. And the difference between that and how the Saudis forced, the Saudi attackers forced us to collusion with them because they forced us to attack. But they didn't have control of themselves. They were being used remotely. And they still are. The FBI, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, people on off New Haven FBI, Chicago, recorded a whole bunch of ways, which are hyper evidentially recorded. Criminally foreign influence, wire crime, action methods, roles, and natures. They're not honestly caring about the identity of, but we swore. Of course you do. You guys have roles keeping the New York City, for example, worse than a war crime. You guys have roles with a crime method that makes people use the word war crime, hurts them specifically to make them use phrases like war crimes, and defend that while you're defending someone else's definition of war crimes that left out black pupils. How to read that with that, how nature will define things. Vaccines. Follow mandated law for the interbranch. They pretend not to understand people. Get on name and seek paper. They put fake transcripts. Watch how delineate their delusions from their criminally foreign influenced souls in natures. Let them speak. Don't pretend it's politics. Why and how science never spoke for Hartford, Connecticut, let alone New York City, let alone for the suburbs. The suburbs were designed before our founders were born to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures while being a landscape theater, while having interjected it more and more. The only means to cause positive value nature progression, acts, and nature would be if it as collusions with one's designed, with negatives and positives designed to collusions to keep everyone looking at blaming other things other than themselves, the identity of relationship to itself. Therefore, an identity of relationship to positives simultaneously, syntactically, that the breaching method had / has to us. That entrenched before our founders were born. That's that which pleasured and maintained. That and how there is fake science and other pretended, so we can be sensed through our own. If we try to use honesty and proper logic and reason regarding the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts in nature. For example, the relative murders in Wethersfield and in Hartford that have ties to the same people and conscious uses of the difference of that in their syntax. Oh, but there's not as many in Wethersfield. Get them on paper. I'll show you how to do it with the police chief of Cimatron. 1 or more years ago, was in one of the ones involved with the houses named Smith and Calola were involved. They also pretend it's personal by bringing up their names. So they bring things before courts to have family members already collusions with the locations and wire crime action methods that are simultaneously other natures of drugs and medicines crimes. So a Calola family has roles with medical offenders of kids, with a Leahy family and judges and prosecutors, ones with the name Smith. Other ones, I don't even know all their names. They switch them. One of them was Salisbury, and some of them switch names. We have to get them on paper. I'll show you how to. They have some black KKK themed, Confederate flag themed roles on Facebook page, and with a Joshua Julian on the Facebook page of a principal child offender. So the military has confessed, come forward. They're not legitimately roles with black KKK themed, Confederate flag themed, with this Joshua Julian and with the Red Claw interstates involved with the people involved. And the locate Johnson and Wales has a Paul Zano involved also with identity theft frauds with investigators in the sick courts, judges and prosecutors, and roles personally and professionally with foreign and domestic medical families who are sick. Also with overt criminal enterprise, private ones. They also have roles with some untimely deaths and other things at the same time, intercities, with people with little clicks. Then they ran into and pretend they knew me on my street by using a field to make it look like I'm part of their little volume. Weird how they have roles with all sides of cases. They hid shit. Excuse me. They hid what's actually recorded, including Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center and since. The news had roles with this. Don't let them speak about serious things like wars or names, like countries. They should get out, they should get out of politics or follow mandate law if they want to speak. Fix the fake news, too. Fix the news predicate acts. Let's go. Next to WFSB and next to Fox Connecticut News. WFSB is in Rock Hill, Connecticut. Fox Connecticut News is in Hartford, Connecticut. They have rules and predicate acts with people in Wethersfield, Connecticut, and in New Britain, on and off the campuses with child offenders, including sexual, medical, and the difference of that, overt criminal enterprises. So they have wire crime acts and methods roles with that too. something to do with various drugs and medicines crimes with judges and prosecutors, CM Faglione and Cololo have with wire crimes and with the people that live near them. Identity theft, fraud, slander, attaching me to fake ties to them, fake nature ties to them, take pictures, try to make fake exceptions. As you watch the exceptions, because they're using exception nature, tactical terrier from how nature does. I fear God. Right through elections, we have remote criminally foreign influence uses of elections locations. Fear. Interreligious spots. Jewish community centers further involved, and other religious spots further involved with the further child abusers that pulled it off too. Make sure you get them on one name in sequence. So they also have some Jewish themed sexual language of adults with the kids, female and female, the differences between the females' roles with child defenders, sexual and medical. At the same time, same ones, overt criminal enterprise and private. They're not legitimate with the ones with the name Violet and Leahy, with the drugs and medicines and the judges and their family members on Hartford Hospital involved with child sex offenders, identity theft, fraud, slanders, planting fake evidences. These are ones with the FBI and CIA further involved with the World Trade Center attack. Don't pretend me. They pretend people make conspiracy theories, and they tied to their fake conversations and changing conversation words. So don't let them change what I said and stay on those names. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, has roles with MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, with the Congress used where they can be observed individually, grouped and together, used remotely, criminally foreign influence. James Comey is also one of the ones involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with remote uses of the sense and sensibilities of Judge Napolitano's Judging Freedom YouTube channel. People are supposed to follow mandated law when they tell you that interbranch. Only 3 branches of government. When do they stop being corrupt? With their difference too of roles, with all kinds of sick things and methods of it. Fix the fake news for them and fix the fake transcripts for them. The courts have been planting evidences there as collusions with locations, including with the news, has been planting collusions, planting evidences preemptively, actively, and while being used remotely, because that's why preemptively, because they already were used remotely. That's how they use them remotely. So a whole bunch of people from Central Connecticut State University with the military also have roles through time with campuses in Wethersfield with child offenders, identity theft, fraud, slanders, and affecting confessions. They affect confessions. The breaching method uses confessions, distinctly from how it showed our own too, for other apparent motivations. Follow mandated law for your people.